So my initial question was, why haven't more black businesses benefited from all this growth downtown, as far as business, as far as inviting new businesses to come in? You mentioned about hotels. Are there any black hotels left in Durham?
Yeah, building wise. When you go back across the railroad track here,
Mm-hmm.
as you go across, there's a restaurant on the left. You see a lot of cars, a lot of people sitting outside eating.
Mm-hmm.
Next door to that is a 2 or 3 story house.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Johnson Hotel. That was one of the black hotels back in the day.
But none operating today.
No, the Biltmore Hotel was on Pettigrew Street, and it was nothing for. Well, James Brown, Al Green, Sam Cooke,
Mm-hmm.
all the old timers,
Mm-hmm.
Duke Ellington,
Mm-hmm.
they're going back as far as,
Yeah.
and they always would say, when you get to Durham, you are halfway your way to Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's what they would say and all.
Okay. So, so here we are, 2017. Like I said, Durham has got a lot of growth.
Growth, but no black growth.
Yeah.
And it's because we have no money, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the basic. But we see what's taking place over on Roxborough Street
Mm-hmm.
side, the new dwellings going up.
Exactly. Exactly.
And what is really funny is, when I say funny, amusing, yeah. The same question. That was all black for
Mm-hmm.
100 years. One day I came, that's my shortcut through there, coming back here from other side of town. And I slammed on brakes. I saw this white girl in her shorts walking the dog
Mm-hmm.
on South Street. I said, there it is.
Yeah.
Here it comes. And sure enough,
Yeah.
restoring the homes and
Mm-hmm.
making it convenient for those who are working
Downtown.
downtown and
Exactly.
all that. But then they say, but there's no money. Then how do you, that's the best example I can give. I still use us as the best example.
Mm-hmm.
You tell us to go do something and find something, but you take away the means of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing these people don't have the monies to do whatever because of how it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I moved here in '96 from California,
Mm-hmm.
and there has been a dramatic change in some of these neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
I remember as a cop, we used to do jump outs on South and Enterprise. You know, because there was always drug sales going on over there.
Oh, yeah.
But you go over there in that same area now, just behind that little store. Regentrification has completely taken over. Most of those homes that were dilapidated or boarded up, those homes have been torn down. Now there's really nice $250,000 homes over there.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped over there one day and spoke with an older black woman that was sitting on the porch, right there on Enterprise, and I asked her a question. I said, "Ma'am," I said, "Do you remember when this neighborhood was different?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "So," I said, "How do you afford to stay here now?" Because I know even though her house is probably paid for by now, I know it's going to increase her tax base. I mean, when her house, it's great for her now because her property value goes up, but also her tax value go up on her house because houses that they're building now are $300,000 homes, right around her. And so, is that one of the ways they use to kind of drive out black communities? Because Few Gardens, I remember when I first got here, was still intact.
Mm-hmm.
That's been torn down.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to build executive homes. A lot of the places downtown when I first got here were all one way, but now they are building in all these new business, all these new homes. How does a black person stay or even compete with what's happening now, and stay afloat?
Don't have that. When we get to that side, it's perennial question of that very same thing. It's so obvious.
Mm-hmm.
even we own 3 houses on Fayetteville Street. My grandfather, when they tore down Durham, this is Durham's what, second or third rejuvenation, I guess you call it, because Durham, downtown Durham, used to have homes on Main Street. They tore them out.
Yeah.
They moved 5. 4, they moved to North Durham. The 5th house, my grandfather used a horse and rollers on a dirt street, Fayetteville Street, to bring the house down there. And oh, they have. The only thing I can say to Durham, to everybody, and I'm so happy to be able to say that I'm happy that my family took me to Sunday school and church on Sunday morning. Because if they had not, I wouldn't be here. I mean, I would be in a place I know I wouldn't want to be.
Yeah.
But it has just bothered me, not because of the status of today, but back in the day. We didn't have to call the police back in the day. Your parents took care of that matter.
Yeah.
They didn't play.
Yeah. I actually spoke with a gentleman, I think it was probably a couple of years ago. I think his uncle was a police officer here in Durham back in the day, and he and his friend patrolled the Hayti community. I think it was just 2 black officers back then.
And if a white person messed up, they could only hold them until they called downtown.
Yes.
They have a white officer.
Yeah, yeah. And so he mentioned that. Let me ask you this here, Mr. Scarborough. So with the issues of the Black Lives Matter movement occurring, from your perspective, what roles did black spiritual leadership take in regards to, I guess, helping blacks to either own their own businesses or encourage them to do more, own property or whatever, and do you see where the black spiritual leadership here in Durham has changed, or are they doing more in this Black Lives Matter movement, or do you even see any benefit in this Black Lives Matter movement?
I don't know. I hadn't looked in that vein. Because to me, all I can feel and see is it's the same old, same old.
Yeah.
But where do you get the money from? I hear Brother Trump talking his noise. Yeah. Trying whatever, increasing whatever. It's more than that.
And I guess the question, I guess let me just add a statement to it. We've had to participate in several protests downtown, with the shooting in Ferguson and the Freddie Gray situation in D.C. and so we've had quite a few protests downtown. One of the things I noticed when I was in the crowd of these protests is that probably 90% of the protesters were white, and this was a Black Lives Matter protest. But 90% of the people in the protest were not black. I mean, is that because the blacks here in Durham have gotten so tired of what you call the same old, and they don't see any change happening, or has the younger generation just said, it's not that important?
You got me quite a bit on that, but it seems as if we stuttering now. At the time of the Hayti time, we had white folks who came into the area as well. They came in to purchase some things from the suppliers or whomever. But I call the Godfathers. The Godfather, fathers in the past, which all are dead now, were John Hervey Wheeler. You know, John Hervey Wheeler, who was the president of the Mechanics and Farmers Bank. Show you what I mean. I was in his office one day. In fact, my grandfather was on the board of directors for the Mechanics and Farmers Bank for 60 years. He was in the first gathering. And